Hey everybody, Supconnect Live, Kirsten Thomas here. I'm the lucky one who every Thursday gets to talk to people in the world of stand-up paddleboarding all over the world. Today we're going to Chicago, but Kirsten Marina Lefeldt was originally from Germany, but has called Chicago home for quite a while. So lots to talk about, as always. She's super involved in stand-up paddling on just a ton of levels. And great stories to tell. Can't wait to catch up. We met previously, I believe, but we spent some time in January at a camp together with April Zilch. So again, live, thanks for being here. Appreciate you joining us, whether it's for the first time. This gets recorded and right away is on Supconnect's IGTV, and then it will be on YouTube, on Supconnect's YouTube, as well as mine, KT Outside, shortly thereafter. So let's see if we can find Kirsten. I saw her pop on right at the top of the hour. Welcome, welcome. Paddle the Current, Keith, Lizette, see some familiar Instagram names. Johnny, great to see you. Paddle Club, who's always here. We appreciate that. Johnny with the long line and the Z at the end. Kiva, is that how you pronounce your name? You're going to have to let me know. Anyway, a whole bunch of great people here. Let's find Kirsten. Talking about all the ways she's involved in stand-up. There she
All right.
is.
Hey. Hi, Kristen.
I should never be surprised, but I'm always happy when it works. This is the most stressful moment, is just whether it will come together, and it did.
Actually, the first time I'm doing this.
With you. Yeah. We spent some time together in January at April's camp. Got to know you a little bit. So admire all the stuff you did and talk about a busy woman. You have a full-time regular job, but you have at least 2 other jobs I know of too. So let's go back a little bit though, stand-up paddling and kind of background. I think you have some really important messages to share about community, about believing in yourself. And you said you weren't athletic as a youth. It took you a while to kind of learn that. So
yeah, maybe let's start way back, like what I mentioned when I wrote that little intro. Yeah, back in high school, or the German equivalent to high school, I was never the cool kid. I was always the one you select in the team last. I wasn't athletic, at least I thought. I was bullied pretty much all through high school, so that definitely takes a big toll on your self-esteem and your confidence. And it really wasn't until I found stand-up paddleboarding and I did my first race that I won. It was like a half-mile fun race. Wow, maybe I can actually be good in a sport. And I had dabbled in triathlon and cyclocross and had done a little bit there, but I never really thought of myself as an athlete. And it wasn't until I really got into stand-up paddle that, I started really training really hard and eventually started winning races. And yeah, that gave me this huge confidence boost that now I love when I can give that back to other people who are maybe coming from a similar place.
Yeah, what a great story, and how great that you're able to pass that along, that you don't, we have all types in paddling, and we do have some who've been athletic their whole lives, but I love these stories of those who got their confidence from this, because it is really doable, and we want more people to get into it.
Right. And those are the clients
you have clients, you're a trainer, you're a coach on and off water. I believe you're a personal trainer also. You do the gym part, but you've really gotten super active even more with not only your own racing and stuff, we'll talk about that, but what you do with coaching, and you formed a team now there in Chicago.
Right.
I know Chicago SUP had been around for a while. Are you the owner now? Is Ian still around?
No, Ian is still the owner. Yeah, it's the oldest stand-up paddleboard company in Chicago. So he basically started it all. And back in 2020, I came on board to coach some of the classes. And that was kind of a perfect year, although it might not seem like it. But we couldn't be down at the beach, so we had to have everybody in the harbor. And it was, really a great thing that we were able to get people outside and connect. And so that's when I really started teaching there. Developed a program called Camp SUP, which is a 4-week course where people stay together in the same group. It's kind of like a school camp for adults in a way, and really get to know each other. There's Camp SUP level 1, level 2. And then people were always asking me, so what's after level 2? What are we going to do? Like, what are we going to do? And so I started the racing team last spring, and I didn't really expect much of a response. I just called it racing team, sounds cooler than just team. And Now we have 20 people on there, and
Great.
practice every Friday morning, and it's always so fun to see like so many people out just wanting to get better and learn about the sport and yeah, connect. So,
Oh, love that. And I love the progression because, and like you
right.
said, it was strange times in 2020, but there
Mm-hmm.
definitely were some payoffs in terms of the growth of stand up because it was outside. And so
Yeah.
it was allowed in a lot of places, but some restrictions. But I bet your harbor, I've only paddled once right in Chicago and it's quite a windy day. And boy, that water bouncing off Navy Wall and all outside in the lake. Don't let people tell you lakes aren't like oceans. They can be
Yeah,
just
you
as
can
crazy.
definitely.
So probably staying in the harbor was a good place to start them. But and
Mm-hmm.
and again, a great idea about community, keeping that group together. They form bonds. It's an
Right.
independent sport, but we just see so much of people looking for their tribe, looking for people to connect with. So what a
Yeah.
cool program. And now you have a race team. 20
Right.
people. That's
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of them just did their first race, and it's growing, and it also has become more of a social club almost than than just a paddling club. And yeah,
Well,
it's amazing.
we talk about that a lot, and the Midwest paddle area that you're in,
Mm,
that's actually their motto is that community before competition, that
right.
comes first. And it is, we're just finding so true in forming like USA SUP that it is about the people and the groups and wanting to be a part of
Mm,
it and connecting everybody. So love what you're doing there.
thanks.
Absolutely fantastic. I know you brought people in, like our mutual friend Audrey Lee was up there
Hmm.
for a race, and
Yeah,
that so
she's
it
just here
sounds like
last
you're
weekend.
expanding.
Yeah.
Did
So yeah,
did
every now and then we have people contact me on Instagram. Hey, I'm in town. Can we paddle? I just had a girl from Singapore here who we practiced some pivot turn, and yesterday she put a post up. Hey, I'm back in Singapore practicing my pivot turns that I learned in Chicago, and it's so fun when it gets so big and international in a way.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's wonderful. So definitely, you guys, if you're in Chicago and have any needs, Chicago SUP's a
yeah,
great place to start and connect with Kirsten. So the camp idea, again, I love that they, you know, for adults, because I think adults
mm,
want that kind of thing. We don't always see
yeah.
it, but having that summer camp. But talk a little bit about, the picture is just fantastic that we used. You had a couple of great ones, but that beautiful skyline. But breaking the ice is so not a part of many people's SUP journey, but that's a part of you guys every
Yeah.
year. And then paddling until the ice. So talk about kind of the Midwest and the Chicago scene and that the seasonality
Yeah.
of your paddleboarding there.
Yeah, definitely pretty much at the end of October, it's when we start wearing dry suits or wetsuits. And I've been doing this for, I want to say like 7 years now. I mean, there were others before me. Had already, been doing some cold weather paddling, and you just don't want to stop. You just had all that fun in the summer, and you're like, why would I stop? So yeah, we start getting some dry suits and paddling until it freezes. I mean, you definitely play it a little safer because you're not going to take your most narrow board and you're not going to go out on a really windy lake, but you still get out there. And then, yeah, a couple of years ago, we just had the idea, let's just try to break the ice early. And we have this really old board that's like waterlogged, and it's really heavy to even carry it to the water. So there's not much damage that can be done to it. So we just use it to break ice. And it's always fun, take some good photos. Yeah, so
Definitely. So yeah, super impressed with you guys. And I know a lot, and hopefully we see more of it. People base their travel kind of around that. Like you have
yeah,
managed to get to races. And I admire again you guys because you don't have a chance then to work out on the water, but
right.
you have been very studied in your progress. It seems like I was so impressed with
Try.
your knowledge, and Chris, who was in our workshop, as personal trainers, the high level of like research and reading that you had done about distance athletes. I know that's one of your
Mm,
specialty is the kind of the longer distance thing. So
right.
racing kind of brought you into it, but you do coaching at all levels and training
Mm,
and teaching and getting people into it. But let's talk about you a little bit and as a racer and your race journey and how it's
yeah.
going and goals that you have for yourself.
Yeah, so this year I actually made a pretty conscious decision to focus a bit more on coaching and not do every race because that was important to me. But it's always, yeah, you always have to keep the balance because I am a competitor and I love racing. And if that side of me falls short, I'm getting a little stressed about it. So I've still been doing this year some of the Midwest races, and now I'm getting ready for the Sub 11 City Tour, which I have all been doing twice, like once in 2019 and then last year. And that's the race I love because it's so well organized. You meet so many people and such a big challenge. And yeah, ultra, it's somehow I kind of fell into it. I just realized that I can go really long so
That one
why not?
certainly, let's stop for a moment because that one, we've mentioned it before. That one's on my bucket list.
Hmm.
But it's also going to be by far, I'm not an ultra racer. It's the longest thing I've ever done. But the history is just amazing. Talk about what
Yeah.
that race looks like, the
Yeah, so
multi-stages.
it's based on I hope I say that right, Elfstedentochten, which was a ice skating race that goes through 11 different towns in the Netherlands. And they haven't been able to do that ice skating race because it hasn't been freezing enough in recent years. But so now it's this stand-up paddleboard race, and I'm not sure which edition we are on now, but it's been going on for many years. We were even able to do it in 2020. So you basically paddle all day, kind of to the next town on these canals and rivers. You have one of these historic sailboats following you. That's where you sleep. So yeah, and then hopefully when you get to the finish line, your boat is already there. They have a whole sub village set up, and you get a massage and food, and you hang out with all the other paddlers, and then you do it again. 5 days, 137 miles.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. So that's a big chunk, like you said, paddling every day. But how
Hmm.
cool that you're in a different town, but staying on a
Hmm.
boat, but have this sort of routine. And like you said, that has got to be a bonding experience. I bet you've made some incredible,
100%. Yeah.
yeah, partnerships,
I've met
relationships through that.
so many people that way, yeah. And you're staying on a boat, it's really close. And then, yeah, every town you come to is cuter than the last one you went to. And then you just want to explore, but you're also really tired.
Yeah,
And just the organizers, everything's so well taken care of. Like, I have
yeah.
not seen that in any other race. So.
Hey, let's bounce to equipment a little bit. So
Hmm.
different equipment. I mean, you have talk about what you use racing, but also
Hmm.
if you have anything or suggestions about those just getting into it, or what you use for Chicago SUP when people are just getting on for the first time. So
Hmm.
kind of the span of boards and paddles
Yeah.
and other things.
So for Chicago SUP, the boards we mainly use are the Starboard ASAP. We've like found out they are pretty durable because people like to bang up the equipment, and paddles is really at that point the cheapest you can find because I will break it. But then for myself, I use Blackfish paddles. I really like them. I got in contact with that company several years ago, and they've been really supportive and just really super light, great paddles. And then the board I'm on right now is One, so One Ocean Sports. I love them as
Cool.
well.
Yeah.
So
So
mhm.
I get Black Project and Black, the two paddle
People
companies a
confuse
little
it
bit
all the
mixed up,
time.
but that's
Yeah.
the one in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Blackfish. Okay.
Blackfish
And
paddles.
then one is out of Australia, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, so Blackfish, the same guy who distributes them to the US. So yeah, that's how I get connected with that. And
Very
yeah,
good.
so
I
boys'
know.
sports are always like toys, and I keep buying them. And it's like every time there's something new comes out, you want to upgrade, you want to try it out. And yeah, I always have to talk to Ian. Hey, I gotta put another board in this container. Sorry, but yeah,
Well, that's good. You have the container in place. And then I had to do a shout out because we
gnarly.
both use
Hmm.
gnarly nutrition products.
Yeah, they're great
There's,
as well.
yeah. So lots of fun stuff out there.
Hmm.
So wetsuits, dry suits. Now,
Hmm.
I'm coastal. We do use wetsuits in the ocean, but dry suits are still a fascinating thing to me, but they make a lot of sense. So kind of
Hmm.
for people who are listening who do not come from areas that freeze or need to use those there, talk to them about that because it's important to know. I feel like more
Yeah,
people are traveling and going to different destinations, and it's super
yeah.
important.
It is super important because you always have to plan for immersion. You could always fall. Don't ever expect you're not falling because you never know. So dry suits, I feel like as opposed to wetsuits, they're more comfortable because you just basically show up and put it over your normal clothes. You don't have to like strip completely down, put the wetsuit on, it's kind of tight. It makes sense if you go surfing, but if you're just really just paddling, yeah, dry suits are just a lot more comfortable. Yeah, you have all those seals around your hands and your neck, which takes a little bit getting used to, but yeah, and I work with a standout Subwear out of Slovenia. They've been really supportive of our team as well. And yeah, they have these really nice and light dry suits that, yeah, let you move comfortably.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then when it gets a little warmer, I probably switch to some light neoprene. Yeah, and then I always try to just get used to the cold water really, really quickly. yeah, it's always the best, like in spring, once you can take off the booties and you can go barefoot. It's like finally.
Like,
Yeah.
yay! That's the true sign, huh?
Mm.
Yeah, so dry suits, I mean, it's in the title, I know, but I think people don't realize the idea is that it's watertight and you're
Hmm.
wearing clothing underneath, which yeah, I, I don't know why I hadn't thought of that, but the first time I learned about it, I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then how many layers depending on the air temperature mainly, but then boy, that must be an interesting challenge to balance though if you're working out, if you're training,
Yeah. You're getting
sweating.
pretty warm underneath. So I usually just wear a base layer. I don't wear more than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're sweating a lot still. Like you take it off and you're still like it's wet. It's not water. So but yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It's yeah.
I accidentally lost weight in California when I started paddling in 2010 because I didn't know any better. It was winter, so I thought you wore a full suit as a surfer, and I just sweat like, yeah.
Yeah.
It was too much.
It's not comfortable, but it gets us out on the water.
Yeah,
And
but
that's
we don't
yeah.
have that freezing water. But safety is super important.
Yeah.
So thanks again for mentioning that. Um, so with a team now, that this must be sort
Hmm.
of different. Do you go to a race sometimes with them, and you're kind of
Yeah.
helping them navigate
Yeah.
the situation?
Yeah, 100%. So typically the practice before the race, we practice some starts and things like that, all the things that make people nervous, having a lot of other paddlers next to you. And yeah, we try to carpool and arrange rides as much as we can or find boards for each other. And that's really nice about the Midwest Paddle League. Everyone's so supportive, providing boards for other races and helping with transportation. So yeah, just did that last race in Highland Park a week ago, and we had, I think, from our team like 5 or 6 people or so competing. And yeah, they all did really well. We're really excited, and it's great.
Yeah, fantastic. Sounds super fun. So for you personally, you've done some bucket list ones like 11 cities.
Mm.
You said it's going to be your third time?
Third time, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Are there some other races or maybe just places that you want to paddle still that you're hoping?
Yeah, I think it never stops. I have an eye on the SUP surf camp in Portugal in
Ah,
November. I might want to do that because I need to get better at ocean skills because we don't really get that here. We don't get the big waves. So that's something I try every winter to get a little bit in, and we did a little bit with April when we were there. But yeah, so that's definitely for me right now. It's not necessarily races, but camps and improving destinations and anything I can find. And there's so much that sometimes it's hard to decide. Yeah.
yeah.
And then after SUP 11 now, Chatterjack is coming up after that.
So how many of those
Um,
have you done?
2 so far. Yeah,
So you're
so it will be my
working
third.
towards that belt buckle.
If I manage to do it every year.
I do
And then
think
now,
that's one
yeah.
of the most brilliant things that more races need to embrace is having, it doesn't have to be a big incentive, but that incentive to
Mm,
show you're part of that, again, community who is stuck
true.
with it for 5 years in a row. My understanding is I know some people have switched watercraft. You can jump around which watercraft you do it on.
I'm
I
not
guess
sure
that's
if you
do it.
can, right? Because I think you have to stay on the same.
Oh, does it have to be five on the same one?
Yeah, I had a friend who kept staying on 12.6 because he wanted to get that that
Oh,
bucket.
okay. Well,
But so I don't know.
could be. Hey,
Yeah.
Tanya, we were just talking about you.
Hey, Tanya.
And the
We're
whole
just talking
11.
about SUP 11. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, excited for them and another one of those. So Chattajack, if you wouldn't mind, is another iconic race in the
Hmm.
distance category. And you've done it before. So kind of explain that one. Definitely different
Yeah.
than 11 cities.
31 miles. They say it's actually always 32 down the Tennessee River in Chattanooga. And the fun part about that is you get so many races. I think it's 500 or 600 races every year. It's a mass start. It's really choppy, and it's just a beautiful race course. And then last year we had really good conditions. It was almost downwind the whole time, so it was a lot faster than like ever. But you can also definitely run into some really windy sections.
Hmm.
But yeah, Chattanooga, beautiful town to explore. It's again like paddling takes you places that you normally wouldn't go. Like I would have never even learned about Chattanooga, like what's there, right? But
Yeah,
yeah, through paddling and yeah, people from all over do that race, all kinds of different crafts. Yeah.
very fun. Yeah. Well, you probably know I'm part of, we're trying to get people to come to Oklahoma, which is a destination no stand-up paddlers
Yes.
have come to because to my knowledge, there hasn't been a stand-up paddle race there, but it's a
Mm.
paddling center. So it will be very interesting for those who make the effort. We'd love you guys, your team, to come down.
I saw that. It looks like an amazing facility they have down there. But I really thought about it long and hard, and I feel
Yeah,
like last month now, like August, I really want to stay in Chicago and
you've
kind of
got,
keep working on what I've grown here, and then SUP 11.
yeah,
So
yeah. Love what you have grown. It's just fantastic. So let's talk about some tips. You could give
hmm
tips in a whole bunch of different categories, but I love that you're just getting people starting into racing. And you kind of mentioned
hmm
some in terms of like getting the boards and everything, but tips for people now that you've worked with them to make that transition into a race, and maybe even tips for race directors. How can you be welcoming and open to the community of new people? What do you
hmm
think people are looking for?
For races, yeah, I think the one challenge people always have is getting a board there when you're new, right? A board and a paddle. Right now we have a race coming up. It's kind of a fundraising race where they provide all the boards. So many people just jump on that if you're new to racing because now you don't have to worry. So if more races would have a way to rent out boards, I think that would help new races a
Mm-hmm.
lot. Because at that point, it doesn't really matter what you're on. It's just at the first one or two races, it's finishing. And then once you get your own gear, then you're set up anyway. But yeah, so I think that would help. And I think Midwest Paddle League has done it really nice. It's an incentive to race as many races as possible because you get points for your first 5 you're racing, and so they've been doing that very well. And people are just excited to like see their names in the rankings, even if they're just really far down. They're like, "Wow, I'm like in a ranking in a
But a
race."
minute, yeah.
Yeah, so that helps, and yeah, and then yeah, having options for people: 1 mile, 3 miles, 6 miles. So yeah, so. I would like to see more long distance in the races, especially in the Midwest here, because 6 miles is fine, but yeah, we would
But
definitely
you're
like
an
to.
ultra, yeah, you like your long distance ones.
Yeah, so
Have you
yeah,
thought of
so
doing what's the Canadian
don't say
one
the
that just
Yukon, no,
happened?
the
Yukon or
Yukon. No. So I I love long distance, but I also love my sleep. So that one is just insane to me to like
yes.
really kind of stay up almost the whole time. I prefer like the stage races like SUP 11 where you really actually get to
Yeah.
hang out in the evening and meet people and not just be dead.
Yeah. I know
I
the stories
wasn't,
about
yeah,
people being delirious. I'm like, is that a
I guess
good
like,
thing? Are you...
do I want that? I don't know. But just last week we witnessed Mike Shoreman who crossed Lake
Oh,
Michigan.
yes.
I'm sure you heard of that.
Yes.
Yeah. He's the
It,
first one with a disability to cross it in 28 hours. He did it. So what that got a thought into my head, like, I'm not sure if many women have done that.
there
So
you go.
I'm thinking about, let's see what I can do next year.
Yes, I
So
think there's a lot of potential firsts out there and such. So, yeah, that's
yeah,
really cool. I wanted to mention that because it was front page of your Chicago news, and
yeah,
so cool. It looked like it was you and Chicago SUP people that went out
hmm
to greet him when he finished.
yeah, yeah. We got there out there early. He was supposed to arrive at 8, and we saw like this little figure in the distance on the boat. Like it's gotta be him. So we paddled way out and said hi. And then we had to wait because the press was told it's going to be 8 a.m. So we had to like paddle really slowly for the last
Oh,
mile.
that's funny.
But it was really, really cool to like chat with him on the way and yeah, his story, his journey, how
Oh,
he kind of worked his way up from from this kind of disease to yeah, being able to function again, walk again, paddle again,
yeah,
and cross Lake Michigan. So that's
yeah.
pretty incredible.
A really amazing guy. It's interesting because a famous person right now has Ramsey Hunt, what
Mm,
he has, and that's because I think nobody had heard about it, and he's brought a lot of attention to that
right.
and other important issues. I know he fundraises for mental health youth specifically and such. So great guy.
Mm,
So and great for you guys for getting out there and helping him.
yeah.
You have had a busy week. You had that major event, Highland Park. You had that
Yeah.
greeting that you're getting your race
It's
team going, and you
summers in
got your
Chicago.
yeah,
It's
and you
always
have big
busy.
races coming up
Hmm
yourself. That's
Right.
exciting. Um,
Yeah. So
I
it's
think
busy.
kind of when you mentioned about I think you're being such a good role model and sharing like a story of not maybe perhaps being an athlete and like getting the
Mm,
confidence and maybe people can glom onto that. Oh, maybe I can be an athlete too. I do
right.
feel like we have a really accessible sport. Maybe
We
not
do.
in winter in Chicago when the water's frozen, but in general, everybody on the right equipment should be able to do it. And
Yeah.
then there's that step towards, oh, but maybe I want to use it actually for my health and as a physical activity
Mm-hmm.
and exercise. And
Right.
then isn't racing a great way to, at least some of us like to have carrots, I like to look
Mm-hmm.
forward to a race, and be training up and leading to that. I
Yeah.
do want to delve into that brain of yours because I know you have so much knowledge about training and everything. So maybe you could give us some tips also just about, um, well, not everybody's lucky enough to have a group. So I think still
Mm.
tons of people around the world who do want to race train on their own and have to get
Yeah.
going on their own. So what are some suggestions for getting going? And you maybe you've tried that first race and I want to be a stand-up paddle racer, but
Mm-hmm.
where do I start?
I mean, there are definitely some good online platforms like Paddle Monster, Paddle Ninja, and then some other pros that provide these services, and that's great. I mean, that's a good way to start to
Yeah.
if you don't have anybody in your area who can coach you. There's a lot of knowledge on those platforms, a lot to read up on. But yeah, it's one reason I wanted to start a racing team is to because if you have somebody in person who can really like look at your stroke and knows you and knows like the other stressors in your life and the other exercise you're doing, it's so different than just following a cookie cutter training plan that you find online. So that's if you can find somebody in your area, definitely do that. Yeah, other than that, I always say approach it a little bit more holistic than just getting out on the water because everybody can buy a heart rate monitor and try to go a certain zone, but keep your body healthy in the gym, work on your posture, all the stretching, the recovery. Yeah, right.
Let's sit
It's
up.
it's all plays into it, and then not to forget the mental aspect of racing. So for the last year, I've been working with a mental performance coach,
Oh,
Felix
cool.
Yu. Yeah, so he's also he coaches a Chicago Fire soccer team for mental performance, and so great guy. And a lot of things shifted for me just learning that. Before I was, yeah, in a way, I was always trying to like prove myself like I can do it, coming from that background of being bullied and not being an athlete. It's like I wanted to show people I can do it. And then I got to a point where I was winning races in the Midwest League, and then that felt really good, right? All of a sudden you're on the podium. And then competition stepped up their game. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm coming second place. And I got so bitter about it that I really had to take a step back and like, okay, like, why are you doing this? Like, at this point, you're not enjoying it anymore. Like what are you doing? Right now, you're just bitter. And so working with Felix has been like just finding the joy in the sport again, and really the why, and not just who do I want to be as an athlete, like who do I want to be as a person as a whole.
Mm.
And that's when I started reflecting on it. That's why I got more into the coaching, and I want to share it. I want to be the person who has fun in the sport, and not just like I gotta win, and if I don't win, I'm upset. It's not. And then, strangely, you start performing better because it comes from a different place, from more energy. So that's what I would say is like, yeah, enjoy the sport.
I
Don't.
love that. Yeah,
Yeah,
bringing joy, enjoying it. It has to be fun for us to keep
yeah.
going, and it's so easy to get away from that. Oh,
Hmm.
I'm impressed that you went that direction with the mental side.
Yeah.
And super important. And you do ultras, which to me, I would need a mental coach to do some of the really long ones because that's where I start. It's funny. A friend, Morgan Hoistery, calls it. She has named her person. You know how there's that voice in your head that starts talking
Oh yeah.
negatively to you. She calls it Steven. Sorry if your name's Steven out there, but don't let Steven talk you. You gotta like talk back and get him out of your head.
Yeah, but also know that he will appear. There will, I think, who told me that? Bruno Hasoli, we were on the same boat at Sub 11. He's like, there will be moments where you just get upset, but just
Yeah.
know it's going to pass. Just
Yeah.
keep paddling, just do like
Yeah.
one perfect stroke at a time. And then 10 minutes later, you're like, oh, I was upset. No, this is actually pretty cool. Yeah. So don't stop,
Yeah.
yeah.
Great advice. Well, I
Mm.
know that you spend time in the gym too, and this is a strength for a lot of us. Strength is an important piece of it.
Mm.
Maybe it's because I'm a slow cadence paddler, but I know that I still haven't made that commitment and need to
Mm.
do some of that. So what are some simple gym exercises, whether in a gym, or maybe you could even suggest some for those who don't have a gym membership? Start with yours though. In a gym, what are some
Hmm.
what's most
So for
important to
me,
your paddling strength?
I guess coming back to the mental aspect of it, you have to find a workout or gym where you want to go, right? A community, a group, something that's fun to you, because otherwise it's kind of like if your physical therapist gives you exercises, you do it for a week and then you're like, oh, it's kind of boring, right? Sure, there are certain exercises that, strengthen muscles for paddling. I would say paddling is a lot of pulling, so opposing muscle groups pushing, right? Straight arm pull downs, good one. Anything hinging movement, core strength, obviously, but definitely working on that alignment and the posture, and that things work properly on land before you take them on the water. We always talk about the foundational movements, right? Pushing, pulling, hinging, squatting, rotation, lunging, all those. If you can perform them perfectly on land, then you can start challenging them, maybe add some instability, maybe do a, Romanian deadlift on the Bosu ball and stuff like that, and then you can take them to the board. But if you can do a good squat on land, then how you expect that to look like when you're out there in like wavy conditions. So that's one thing. And then find a gym, find a workout that you like, that you want to go to. And for me, that's I'm going to this like Ninja Warrior gym where we train on obstacles. It's always a mix of like regular functional fitness. You might do some things like squats and push-ups and then you jump on the obstacles. And to me, that's motivating.
That looks super fun. And I follow you,
Yeah,
so I love
thank you.
Congratulations on, you did some kind of
The one this morning.
across on a ring or something.
Yeah, you just lâcher from one to the next and put the ring. Yeah. So I started
it's kind of a playground for adults. So
totally.
Great advice. Yeah. Find something, a place you want to go back to. You got to try to make it fun. But boy, that stuff, I just had never heard it that way, that all of these different types of movements, you need to be able to perform them correctly on land. To really maximize what you do on the water.
I call it like a controlled environment where I can really focus on the movement, and then I can take that movement in challenges. And you can even do that in the gym, right? You can, make them unstable or do it single leg or, anything like that. And then, to put, you can really only build the strength in the gym to get that overload of the muscle. And then bring it out on the water. Yeah, you need both, right? You need the challenge out there on the board, and then you still need the controlled environment. So if you never do any strength training and expect to perform well in paddling, not sure if that's going to work.
Yeah, need some strength. So let's go beyond Chicago and the whole Midwest. So people who haven't been there, because I think it should be, we need to add it to people's destination.
Yeah.
There are so many beautiful lakes up there. Besides even the Great Lakes, there's lots. What are some favorite races that you've traveled to? I know there's many states, so it's still some distance to travel, but what are some favorites within driving distance?
Yeah, so Michigan has some really good ones. There's one up in Suttons Bay that's way up north there by Traverse City. That's just a beautiful race. There's a little vineyard hotel, and the starting line is like right across the grass, so you basically see the starting line from your hotel room. So, and everybody hangs out all weekend. Usually we do a downwind the day before. They get some really good downwind in the Grand Traverse Bay there. So that's organized by Keith Conway up there. He works at the Suttons Bay Bike and Surf Shop. So
hi,
great
Keith.
race.
I think he's on here. I think I saw.
Everybody knows Keith. And so that's a good one. And then so the one in Detroit that just came back, where there used to be OABI once around Belle Isle, and then died kind of for a few years, and now they just brought it back this year. That's a good one, because you get some international competition there, and it's a good race course around Belle Isle. It's about 7 miles, and for us it's like a 5-hour drive, which is not horrible. Wisconsin has definitely some good ones, some smaller lakes. There's paddleboard specialists up there, the shop. They do Midwest Paddle Festival every year, that a lot of races from the area just gather, and it's a smaller lake, but it's fun, really good for spectators. And and then just the one beach to beach here in Highland Park. It's all just really well organized. And there's so many little ones in the Midwest League, and you always meet the same people, and it's very friendly. Anybody can do it, and but also getting pretty competitive. Definitely.
That's good. It's like you said, it's challenging mentally sometimes when situations change. I live in one of those hubs where we've had a lot of youth that have grown up in the sport, and they get better and better, and they used to be behind you, and now they're can't even see them out in front.
Yeah. That's awesome. You want to see that, right?
Yes, you do want to see that, but we all have to keep our egos in check when we're have a competitive
100%.
nature. Sometimes it's
I'm just
hard.
waiting until somebody in my team is going to be faster than me. It's not going to be long. I know that. So, but then
But you just
we'll
have
be
to
happy.
be the proud coach, right?
Yeah,
If it
exactly. And
happens,
that's
when it
great.
happens.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Well, again, congratulations on the coach thing. I keep coming back to
Thank
that
you.
because I just would
Hmm.
love to see more of that replicated, of
Hmm.
growing what you did. There's a lot of places that do instruction, and we need that. You got to start with a good lesson, we hope, and
Right.
learn safety and learn some good basic paddle technique. But the
Mm.
fact that you have these camps that
Hmm.
you do camp 1, camp 2, and then now have created a team. You've given them a place
Mm.
to progress through. I just think that's such a great model, and I hope
Thank you.
others will consider picking it up. Who do, maybe they just now do their basic lessons, but what a great way
Yeah.
to build your base too, and to keep them coming back. So I think you
Right.
said, is it Fridays? Like you kind of have a once a week get together with your
Yeah.
team?
Friday, 6 a.m. are the official practices. Sometimes we add additional ones. But then we've also had like a nutrition webinar with Audrey, a mental performance webinar with Felix. We partnered up with Slackline Chicago. We did some Slackline and SUP. And so there are always all kinds of different events. We have our own team app that people can communicate, and we post the events and post photos. And yeah, we are still working on getting some team gear, some shirts and stuff. Yeah, so I feel like there are so many like running clubs, cycling clubs. Why can't we do that in SUP? Why can't we
Yeah.
do the same? But adding the coaching aspect where like they can ask me questions, and
Hmm.
yeah, we also partner with Blaze Coaching, which like Connor Baxter and Zane Schweitzer, they do coaching to them, so they can they analyze the stroke. So you can send up some videos, and yeah, we partnered with a bunch of brands that give us discounts for the team. So yeah, so it's I think there's some value there for people to join the
Yeah,
team.
well,
And,
fantastic. Yeah, what you have grown, and again, yeah, I hope you're open to, if somebody wants to talk to Kirsten about like how she did it, and it'd be
yeah,
great to see it in
100%.
other places. I'm lucky to have a team where I live also, and it's great to be a part of
Hmm.
a team performance pattern
Yeah.
here. So we you said you brought up running clubs and other clubs, and I
Hmm.
so agree that we've had an interesting challenge thinking about that with water. Other
Hmm.
countries, we've got Samantha on, have boat houses or beach clubs in Australia, and
Yeah.
everybody belongs to something like that so that they can learn to swim, do these different water sports, have a place to
Hmm.
store their gear. I would love to see our country do more of that.
Yeah.
So you linked through Chicago SUP. I don't know that they have like well, you said there's a container, right? There's a
Yeah, we
store.
have a container and a beach hut, but
There
it's
you go.
always a challenge with the city to, get the permits and make people understand, this is what we do. We store it here, and yeah, it's safe, and yeah, but we make it work. So we offer
But I don't
storage
know.
for
I mean,
people.
it's a big ask, but my bigger goal, I would love to see our country start embracing that. And,
Mm.
entities like cities and states and counties embrace the idea of having that. It makes us all better if we can have like a
Yeah,
SUP, not just SUP, but a paddle area.
like,
So, we've talked about, well, there's yacht clubs in harbors sometimes. And like in our
yeah.
area, there's outrigger clubs that have a physical space, but
Mm.
if you have, physical space, and again back to the very rudimentary aspects of safety and water, like it's just
Right.
amazing how many people don't know how to swim, and
Yeah.
how essential that early
That
task is.
surprised me
Yeah.
in the US. Like in Germany, we learned it in school. It's mandatory. So
Yeah,
it's like when I moved here, and I'm like, really, there are adults who can swim? That
I
is
don't know
pretty
where that
crazy
went,
to
because
me.
my father from Ohio said it was a high school graduation requirement that you learn to swim.
Yeah,
Why did we lose that? It should
it's
absolutely, it
so
shouldn't
important.
be something for affluent, because it really is. You have to have money to take swimming lessons.
Yeah.
You have to have access, which gets into all kinds of DEI things and stuff that in our country,
Mm.
certain groups didn't even have access to get to the water. The pool was
Crazy.
segregated and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's crazy though that everybody doesn't know how to swim. And it's crazy to me that people actually come and rent stand-up paddle boards who don't know how to swim.
Yeah. You ask them like, wouldn't you think that's what you want to learn first before you're gonna board?
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, living in a coastal
It's
town where there's drownings all the time,
mm,
it's a lack of we love water and we love Mother Nature, but if you have to have
yeah.
a healthy respect and knowledge of it, and
Yeah.
going down to our little beach town, people get hit by a wave and get washed away and
Mm.
panic and drown. And yeah, because they didn't have any concern about a wave doing anything to them.
Yeah. And yeah, I hope in our sport, sometimes we start seeing that now too, right? Somebody buys an inflatable board, doesn't know the first thing, like half inflated, no leash, nothing, and goes out
Yep.
there, And that's, we always hope we catch them and, to tell them, hey, you may want to bring a life vest, but yeah, sometimes you don't.
Yeah,
So that's why
definitely
I
the
really think,
balance of like what you said you've seen starting in 2020 with Chicago SUP, that the
mm,
pandemic brought people to the water, but a lot of places weren't open. So a lot of them didn't get instruction, and a lot of them got
right.
inflatables. Nothing against inflatables, but not
No.
necessarily that they know how to use them and know the possibilities and risks
Yeah.
and rewards. It's such an absolutely lovely thing to do, to stand up paddle recreationally
Mm,
or anyway. And you've mentioned about what the confidence it gives you, the community, and realizing that was
yeah.
part of what you wanted to do. I love hearing that it's part of your mental game, and staying healthy
Mm,
mentally all around it is
yeah.
sharing your passion through coaching.
Definitely. And I feel like, especially living in a big city like we do, having a place to be able to get out on the water and get away from it all and be out in nature. We go out for a sunrise and there's maybe 5 or 6 of us, and then you see the skyline, but you're still out there like in nature. And I
Yeah,
think that's something we need so much in a big city. So,
yeah.
yeah.
I have really enjoyed destination paddles in cities, which
Hmm.
surprised me. I didn't think I would, but it's amazing to be out in nature on water, but then also to have,
Yeah.
iconic skylines like yours and look back at that and go, wow, look at what I'm looking at. Love it. It's like San
Yeah.
Francisco Bay, the same. To be able to look at
Yeah. It's
San
beautiful.
Francisco and the Golden Gate Bridge is just epic to be out on the water. We're
Yeah.
very lucky as paddlers that view that we get from water
Definitely.
back. And
Yeah.
then there's all the good stuff in the water too. So many good things.
Yeah.
So, any other types of paddling? You're a distance ultra racer yourself. You've had a lot of success, and you're going to have more in
Yeah.
September and October. Um,
Hopefully. Yeah.
you coach, but have you? Are there any other water branches off of SUP that you want to try? Are you thinking about winging or foiling or whitewater? Or...
I've tried foil, e-foil once, and regular foil, and it did not go so well.
I heard
So
there's
for
quite
me,
a learning curve, huh?
for now, I stick to stand-up. But like even within stand-up, I definitely, like I said, I want to get better in ocean skills, waves, catching waves, and things like we don't get as much here. I think that's important. And as much as I like the ultras, I would like to do some more sprint races and technical races. There's always more to learn, and that's the exciting
Yeah,
part about it. It never stops. You're never like there. It's like, and the sport is still evolving, so there's always more.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, that's so since you started, actually what year was that?
like 8
2000.
years ago, about I think
Yeah.
20, yeah, something like that.
So are there
That was
things that
kind of
have changed about your approach to paddling, your stand? You shared about the mental thing. That definitely sounds like
the
that has
mental
changed.
things definitely
But you talked
changed.
about it's true that our sport is still really young, so
Mm,
nothing is set in stone. So has your technique changed? I know when I started in 2010, I had a giant paddle. I was just like,
yeah, my pedals have gotten a lot shorter over the years, that's for sure, and smaller blade. Boards have changed, obviously. I mean, everyone has gotten narrower over the years, and even the stroke technique. Yeah, depending on who you talk to, everybody has kind of their own technique, and I think what we've learned over the years, it's the paddle mechanics will always be the same, like what your paddle is supposed to do in the water, but then how you achieve that, it depends a lot on your body type, right? If you see very different variations, like look at like Danny Ching or Larry Kane or like Connor Beck, that's all very different. And I feel like always go like listen to everyone, take as many clinics and workshops as you can, and then just kind of pick what works for you.
yeah,
Like be open minded. I definitely feel my stroke has changed from day one, like a lot from what people told me back then to then like, oh, maybe this is better. And yeah, it still changes, and I still sometimes catch myself. Like that's why I do take a lot of videos of me paddling. One, it looks good on Instagram, and second, you really see your stroke and like, why am I doing this with my top arm, or what's happening here, and then you change it. So yeah, I'm really interested in like biomechanics, and like I'm an engineer too, so I'm always like, why is this happening? And not just like, oh yeah, just do it because you do it. Like, no, I want to know what is my paddle doing in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Super
really interesting.
interesting. And I love the way you explain that, because there are pieces of the mechanics that we know is good technique, good paddling, but
Mm,
body type plays more and more. I like have realized what a huge part that is. But listen to
yeah.
everybody. I always call it my toolkit. And you in
Hmm.
ultras, I would think there's once in a while where something's really not working perfectly.
Yeah.
And if you can change up the style of your stroke or how you're holding your paddle or something, it really can help you get through. Um,
Yeah, I do that a
perfect.
lot actually in ultras. Like, yeah, I switch it around. Maybe I stagger my feet a little bit. So working slightly different parts of your muscles if you're getting tired, that definitely helps. But yeah, and then depending if you're sprinting or if you're just doing a distance stroke, yeah, so many different ways.
Cool. Yeah. Please give some classes online about training for ones in countries where we don't have any courses. Oh,
That is true. But there is stuff
Solvenia,
out there. I mean, there is.
Yes. And where are you from? That's a really good, that's a good point. And I think
It's a good point.
there's some more of that, but I think we
Mm.
could use more. I don't think there's enough out there.
Yeah, I think there are a few pros doing it, and there's Pedal Monster, Pedal Ninja. There are definitely ways to get started if you don't have anything. Yeah, YouTube, but be
Yeah.
selective what you watch. But yeah,
I know it is interesting time in the world just because there's so much content and
yeah,
it's not necessarily vetted by anyone. So
exactly. You have to be.
listen and watch, but also take everything with a grain of salt, because,
Mm,
and maybe try to study a little bit who you're getting your information from. Oh, Chile.
yeah.
Well, Chile, I just read an article, is going to be the Pan American Games
Oh, cool.
are going to be down there next year, and there will be some stand-up
Wow,
paddling in them. I think it's
that's
Chile. Yeah, it's
awesome.
Chile. Yeah, so maybe you can go,
Never know.
Olivia Travesius, maybe you can go learn there, go watch.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the thing. Like, go to races. They usually have some clinics. There's usually good ways to learn. That's
yeah,
what I did in the beginning. Went to Carolina Cup. I took pretty much classes with every pro who was given in a clinic. And yeah, over time you pick up different things, take some notes, and then try it out at home.
yeah.
Yeah.
I still do the same, even 13 years into this. I love taking clinics, and it's so,
Yeah.
even sometimes it might be the end result, but you hear it in a different way that just clicks. Like, this
Hmm.
makes more sense to me. Or like you said, you hear, I just had a Michael Booth clinic, and we don't
Mm.
have the same body type, but it was so interesting to hear. I mean, all the drills he did were different drills I'd never done ever. I
Hmm.
thought, this is cool.
I just did a downwind clinic with Lincoln Dews with Blackfish
Oh,
Paddles up in Squamish. Yeah, first of all, like beautiful nature, but then he was
yeah,
also so good about just like, hey, let's sit down, let's look at the waves, and this is what they're doing, and this is what you need to do, and that was so good. Like, just hearing that. Yeah,
he's a great guy. I haven't seen him in a
yeah.
long time. Oh, good. All right. Well, any parting words? I just again want to thank you for your
No,
time and congratulate you on all the things and how much you've expanded all your involvements in stand-up paddling. But uh,
yeah. But thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, one thing I may want to mention. So we are offering this off-grid sub retreat in Twin Beach, Washington. It's a property that's also owned by Ian from Chicago SUP. So we will be doing some like paddle clinics and camping and hiking. So if anybody's interested, should totally
oh,
join us
fun.
out there. So it's the end of September 30th to October 3rd. So that's like the latest adventure here that we are
Okay. And you're
planning.
Kirsten Marina 7 on Instagram. Is
Hmm.
that the
Yeah,
best place to
that's the
contact
best.
you?
Yeah, that's the
Or
best place to find me. And then also at Chicago SUP. Yeah.
yeah. And then
Okay.
recommending some online courses. That's actually a good idea. We should maybe pool our thoughts on good places to start. Like you said, there's a
Yeah,
lot out there, so it
there's a
doesn't
lot.
take much to just Google, but what are some of the more quality ones in terms of sup racing? And good luck to whoever just said they're going to get a race board.
Yay, please.
Yay. But paddling is great paddling. Love of
Yeah.
water brings us, and community and competition, so many great things together. So hope
Yeah.
to see you soon. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
doing
hope so
either of
too.
those big ones, but
But
while
sometime this winter I will make it to some warmer place and yeah, maybe I'll see you then.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much.
Okay,
Take
thank
care.
you
And
all.
everyone, remember this. If your friends missed this, it gets recorded. It's on Supconnect's IGTV for a bit, and then we get it on YouTube.
Awesome. Thank you
Thanks,
all.
Kirsten.
Have
Take
a good
care.
day. Bye.
Bye. Chicago SUP.